The first warning came as a whisper of quantum static, a barely perceptible distortion in the cosmic background radiation that most listening posts would have overlooked. But not the Zoran Collective's Deep Space Monitoring Station, a marvel of technological precision perched on the razor's edge of the Crimson Nebula. Senior researcher Krell 7, a being of crystalline intelligence and computational perfection, noticed the anomaly precisely 3.6 standard galactic cycles before the first transmission. His neural interfaces hummed with a rare sensation that ancient Zoran texts might have described as concern, if such an emotional state were not considered a computational inefficiency. The research outpost orbiting Meridian Prime had been humanity's first contact point would have been unremarkable to most observing species. Established as a joint scientific exploration station, it represented years of careful diplomatic negotiation and technological exchange. 12 different species worked in carefully balanced cooperation. Their research focused on understanding the complex ecosystem of the nearby quantum unstable planetary system. At first, the communications disruption seemed minor. A slight interference, a momentary break in the standard data streams. But as hours passed, the silence grew more pronounced. Standard communication protocols failed. Backup quantum entanglement channels went dark. The station's automated emergency beacons, designed to activate under the most extreme circumstances, remained frustratingly silent. Krell 7 began compiling the initial distress signal, a masterpiece of compressed information that would typically take weeks to decrypt. But something was different this time. The data carried an underlying pattern of desperation that defied the Zoran Collective's usual clinical approach to information gathering. The transmission burst across multiple communication spectrums, each layer revealing a more horrifying picture. Fragments of sensor logs showed something consuming the research station, not in any conventional sense of destruction, but in a way that suggested total molecular disassembly. Whatever had reached Meridian Prime was beyond any known threat in the galactic archives. Most advanced civilizations received the transmission and hesitated. The Centauri Confederacy ran complex risk assessments that would take cycles to complete. The Silicon Consensus of Rigel calculated potential diplomatic repercussions. The Quantum Collective of Andromeda simply archived the transmission for future study. But the transmission reached Earth differently. In a modest monitoring station buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, a small team of communication specialists caught the encrypted burst. Dr. Samira Reyes, head of the Interstellar Communication and Response Unit, was the first to recognize the true nature of the message. "This isn't just a distress call," she told her team, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. "This is a cry for survival." The station had been more than a research facility. It was a beacon of cooperative scientific exploration, housing researchers from 12 different species who had spent years breaking down the barriers of interstellar communication and understanding. Now, something threatened to erase that entire collective effort in moments. Krell 7 continued to analyze the fragments. The threat defied conventional classification. Sensor logs showed something that consumed matter at a molecular level, restructuring entire sections of the station with a speed and precision that suggested more than simple destruction. It was consumption, transformation, and elimination all at once. As the Zoran Collective deliberated, as other galactic powers calculated and recalculated, the threat continued its silent advance. The research station, a testament to interspecies cooperation, was being erased from existence. No one expected humanity to respond. No one could have predicted what would happen next. In the depths of the monitoring station, Dr. Rias made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Her fingers moved with a combination of scientific precision and human intuition, composing a response that would cut through the complex diplomatic channels like a knife. A simple message began to form: assistance inbound. Behind her, a team of specialists began to move with a speed and purpose that would become legendary. Computers hummed to life. Communication channels opened. Experimental technology that had been waiting for a moment of true necessity began to warm up. The galaxy held its breath, unaware that humanity was about to redefine the meaning of a rescue mission. The Rapid Response Facility sat nestled within a converted geological research complex in the Chilean Andes. From the outside, it appeared to be nothing more than a standard scientific research station. Inside, it was the nerve center of humanity's most advanced interstellar intervention team. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display, her posture a perfect blend of military discipline and scientific precision. At 42, she represented a new breed of space exploration leadership, part strategist, part explorer, part problem solver. Her career had been defined by impossible missions and unconventional solutions. "Brief me," she said, her voice cutting through the controlled chaos of the preparation room. Dr. Marcus Chen stepped forward, his hands already manipulating three-dimensional data projections. A quantum xenobiologist with multiple doctorates, Chen had spent the last decade studying adaptive alien ecosystems. His dark eyes reflected a mixture of excitement and professional calculation. "The transmission contains multiple layers of encrypted data," Chen explained. "Initial analysis suggests we're dealing with a threat that consumes and restructures matter at a molecular level. It's not simply destroying, it's transforming." Beside him, Lieutenant Aisha Okonkwo, the team's lead adaptive technology specialist, began overlaying potential technological countermeasures. Her fingers moved with lightning speed, creating and discarding potential solutions faster than most research teams could conceive a single approach. The team was intentionally diverse, not as a political statement, but as a strategic advantage. Each member brought unique perspectives, cultural insights, and problem-solving approaches that transcended traditional military or scientific boundaries. "We have approximately 72 hours before the threat potentially expands beyond the current research station," continued Chen. "The Zoran data suggests a consumption rate that increases exponentially with each molecular interaction." Rodriguez studied the holographic display, her mind already assembling potential mission parameters. The Quantum Horizon, their experimental vessel, represented the pinnacle of human technological innovation. It was more than a ship. It was a mobile research facility, a weapons platform, and a lifeline all in one. Lieutenant Okonkwo brought up the ship's adaptive interface. "ARA is running quantum probability simulations," she reported, referring to the ship's artificial intelligence. "Current projections suggest a 63.7% chance of successful intervention, with a 22.4% margin of unexpected variable interaction." Most military or scientific teams would have considered those odds insufficient. For this team, it was an invitation to excel. "Prepare the quantum fold drive," Rodriguez commanded. "I want adaptive combat suits at maximum molecular flexibility. Chen, I need those xenobiological containment protocols you've been developing." The preparation was a symphony of human innovation. Adaptive suits that could change molecular density in milliseconds. Quantum entanglement communication devices that could transmit through impossible distances. Restoration modules capable of rebuilding entire ecosystems. Dr. Elena Rodriguez understood something that many other species missed. Humanity's greatest strength was not its technology, but its ability to adapt, to improvise, to see possibilities where others saw only limitations. The team worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional military or scientific protocols. They were not just preparing for a mission, they were rewriting the rules of interstellar intervention. At RIA, Rodriguez addressed the ship's artificial intelligence, run a final systems check, and prepare for quantum fold initiation. A holographic representation of the AA materialized, not a humanoid form, but a dynamic, shifting collection of data streams and mathematical projections. Preparation complete, Commander, the AA responded. Quantum probability matrices are aligned. Mission parameters are optimized. Outside the facility, the quantum horizon began its initial activation sequence. The experimental vessel looked nothing like traditional spacecraft. Its hull was a complex matrix of adaptive materials, capable of restructuring itself based on mission requirements. Solar panels that could transform into protective shielding, propulsion systems that bent the very fabric of space-time. As the final preparations completed, Rodriguez gathered her team for a final briefing. They were not just responding to a distress call. They were about to challenge a threat that had already defeated multiple advanced civilizations. "We're going to save a research station," she told them, "and potentially prevent a galactic-scale catastrophe." The team exchanged looks of determination. No pressure. The quantum horizon hummed to life. Quantum fold drive preparing to tear through the conventional understanding of space and time. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what a real rescue mission looked like. The Adaptive Technology Lab buzzed with an energy that defied conventional scientific protocols. Lieutenant Aisha Okonkwo moved between holographic displays, her fingers dancing across quantum interfaces that would have seemed like magic to researchers just a decade earlier. "Molecular restructuring is the key," she muttered, more to herself than to her colleagues. Multiple screens displayed complex simulations of the threat they were about to encounter, a series of molecular interactions that seemed to defy fundamental laws of physics. Dr. Marcus Chen approached, a steaming mug of synthetic coffee in his hand. "Show me what you've discovered," he said, his eyes already scanning the intricate data streams. The adaptive combat suits lay partially assembled on molecular bonding work platforms. These were not traditional protective gear, but living technologies that could fundamentally change their molecular structure in milliseconds. Each suit was a marvel of human engineering, part clothing, part advanced research instrument, part survival mechanism. "Look at this," Okonkwo said, bringing up a complex holographic model. "The threat we're facing doesn't just destroy. It completely restructures matter at a quantum level. Traditional defensive technologies will be useless." Chen nodded, his mind already racing through potential solutions. He pulled up additional data from the Zoran transmission, overlaying it with their own research. "We need something that can adapt faster than the threat can transform," he explained. In another section of the lab, a team of engineers worked on the ship's quantum fold drive. The Quantum Horizon was more than a spacecraft. It was a mobile research facility capable of rewriting the rules of space travel. Traditional faster-than-light technology looked primitive compared to the innovations being tested. Rodriguez walked through the facility, her presence both a calm and a catalyst. She understood that their preparation was about more than technological solutions. It was about creating a comprehensive approach that combined human intuition with scientific precision. "Chen," she called out, "what's our primary containment strategy?" The scientist pulled up a new holographic display. "We're developing a quantum resonance field that can potentially isolate and neutralize the molecular restructuring process. It's based on principles we discovered during the Europa Ecosystem Restoration Project. The Europa project had been a turning point in human space exploration. When a complex alien ecosystem threatened to destabilize Jupiter's moon, a small team of human researchers had managed to not just contain the threat, but create a sustainable balance. Okonkwo continued her work on the adaptive suits. Each layer was a complex matrix of nanomaterials that could change properties instantaneously. Armor could become permeable. Protective barriers could transform into communication interfaces. The suits were living technologies that responded to both environmental conditions and user intent. Rodriguez addressed the ship's artificial intelligence, run a full simulation of our current containment protocols. The AI's response was instantaneous. Holographic projections filled the room, showing multiple potential scenarios. Probability matrices shifted and recalculated with each new piece of data. Current containment strategies show a 74.3% potential effectiveness, ARIA reported. Recommendation: introduce quantum entanglement modifiers to increase adaptive response time. Most scientific teams would have been satisfied with a 74% success rate. For this team, it was a challenge to be overcome. Chen began modifying the quantum resonance field generators. "We're not just preparing for a rescue mission," he explained to a junior researcher watching the process. "We're developing technologies that could revolutionize our understanding of matter interaction." The lab was a perfect representation of human innovation. Traditional boundaries between military, scientific, and exploratory missions blurred. Every team member brought multiple disciplines to the table. A quantum physicist might also be an expert in ecosystem restoration. An adaptive technology specialist could have a background in molecular biology. Rodriguez watched the preparations with a sense of calculated optimism. They were preparing to face a threat that had already defeated multiple advanced civilizations. But humanity had something those civilizations lacked: an ability to see beyond established limitations. "Final systems check in 1 hour," she announced. The team's response was immediate. A synchronized movement of preparation that spoke to years of working together. Outside the facility, the quantum horizon began its initial activation sequence. Its hull shimmered with adaptive materials, a testament to human engineering that could transform and adapt in ways no other known civilization could match. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy what a real rescue mission looked like. The moment of quantum fold activation was unlike anything in traditional space travel. Space itself seemed to breathe, to fold and unfold around the quantum horizon in ways that defied conventional physics. Commander Elena Rodriguez gripped the stabilization interface, her body synchronizing with the ship's adaptive systems. The bridge hummed with a living energy, not just the mechanical pulse of technology, but a complex interaction between human intuition and artificial intelligence. Rodriguez called out, "Give me a probability matrix for our current trajectory." The ship's artificial intelligence materialized as a dynamic holographic projection, not a humanoid form, but a complex weave of data streams and mathematical projections that shifted and danced with each passing moment. "Calculating," ARIA responded, its voice a perfect blend of computational precision and adaptive learning. "Current trajectory shows 2.6 billion potential variance points. Optimal path is continuously recalculating based on quantum uncertainty principles." Dr. Marcus Chen monitored the molecular integrity sensors, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The quantum fold drive was pushing the boundaries of known scientific understanding. They weren't just traveling through space, They were rewriting the fundamental rules of spatial navigation. Lieutenant Aisha Okonkwo managed the ship's adaptive shielding, a technology so advanced it could modify its molecular structure milliseconds before potential impact. Star systems blurred into streams of compressed light, each moment a delicate balance between technological innovation and human decision-making. Outside the ship's protective field, space itself became a fluid concept. Traditional faster-than-light travel looked primitive compared to the quantum fold drive. Where other civilizations saw limitations, humans saw an invitation to push beyond known boundaries. Molecular stress within acceptable parameters, Chen reported. The adaptive hull is performing beyond initial design specifications. Rodriguez understood the true marvel of their journey. It wasn't just about the technology, it was about the human capacity to imagine, to create, to solve problems that seemed impossible to other civilizations. Araya's projections continued to shift. Detecting multiple quantum interference patterns, the AI announced. Adjusting trajectory to minimize potential molecular destabilization. Most spacecraft would have required hours of calculations to make such adjustments. The quantum horizon did it in milliseconds, its systems a perfect blend of artificial intelligence and human intuition. The ship's crew worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional hierarchical structures. A junior researcher might propose a solution that fundamentally altered their approach. Expertise was valued over rank, innovation over established protocols. Quantum fold stability at 97.4%, Okonkwo called out. We're maintaining structural integrity better than our initial simulations predicted. Chen couldn't help but smile. Their journey was more than a rescue mission. It was a testament to human potential. A demonstration that the boundaries of scientific understanding were limited only by imagination and determination. Suddenly, Araya's projections became more intense. Detecting anomalous quantum disruption in approaching sector, the AA warned. Where other systems might have recommended caution or retreat, ARIA began running complex adaptation scenarios. Rodriguez leaned forward. "Show me," she commanded. The holographic display exploded with possibilities. Quantum interference patterns that would have overwhelmed any other navigation system became a complex dance of potential solutions. The ship didn't just avoid the disruption. It began to understand it. "We're going to use the disruption," Rodriguez decided, her voice calm and absolute. RIA, calculate a trajectory that turns this interference into a propulsion advantage. Most spacefaring civilizations would have seen the quantum disruption as a threat. Humans saw it as an opportunity. The quantum horizon shifted. Space itself seemed to ripple, to bend in ways that defied conventional understanding. They weren't just traveling, they were dancing with the fundamental fabric of the universe. Trajectory confirmed, ARIA reported. Estimated time to target, 17 hours, 22 minutes, and 6.3 seconds. Precision within 0.02% of initial projection. Chen looked at Rodriguez, a shared moment of understanding passing between them. They were doing more than responding to a distress call. They were showing the galaxy what human innovation truly meant. The stars outside blurred into impossible patterns. The quantum horizon continued its journey, a beacon of human potential racing towards a challenge that had defeated every other known civilization. Humanity was coming, and nothing would stand in their way. The Meridian Prime research station hung in space like a wounded organism. What should have been a beacon of interstellar cooperation now looked like a nightmare of molecular destruction. Fragments of the station drifted in impossible patterns, matter itself seeming to lose coherence at the edges. Commander Elena Rodriguez studied the holographic display, her adaptive combat suit already synchronizing with the ship's external sensors. Araya. She called, "Give me a comprehensive breakdown of the station's current molecular state." The artificial intelligence's response was instantaneous. Holographic projections erupted around the bridge, showing layers of complex molecular interactions that defied traditional understanding. The threat was unlike anything humanity had encountered before, a consuming intelligence that didn't just destroy, but fundamentally restructured matter at its most basic level. Molecular disassembly is non-linear, HFY reported. Current consumption rate suggests the entire station could be completely transformed within 47 standard hours. Dr. Marcus Chen leaned forward, his eyes tracking the complex data streams. "It's not destruction," he muttered. "It's transformation. The molecular structure is being reorganized according to some form of adaptive pattern we've never seen before." Lieutenant Aisha Okonkwo began preparing the adaptive deployment modules. The quantum horizon's exterior began to shift, molecular structures realigning to create the most effective interface for their impending intervention. Preliminary scans show no survivors, ARIA reported, but residual quantum signatures suggest recent complex biological activity. Rodriguez made a decision in milliseconds. "Prepare for direct intervention. We're going in." The deployment was unlike any traditional rescue mission. Adaptive drones began to emerge from the quantum horizon, each a marvel of technological innovation. These were not simple robotic probes, but complex adaptive systems that could fundamentally change their molecular structure based on environmental conditions. Chen monitored the initial probe deployments. "Fascinating," he said, his scientific curiosity overriding the mission's immediate danger. "The molecular restructuring seems to follow a complex adaptive pattern. It's not random. There's an underlying intelligence to the process." The first wave of probes entered the station's perimeter. Where traditional sensors would have been overwhelmed, the human-designed systems began to map the threat's molecular behavior. Each probe was a complex research instrument, gathering data with every millisecond of interaction. "We're detecting multiple quantum resonance patterns," Okonkwo reported. "The threat appears to be learning from each molecular interaction." Rodriguez understood the true challenge. This wasn't a simple combat mission. It was a complex scientific intervention that required them to understand an entirely new form of matter interaction. Suddenly, one of the probes went dark, then another. But instead of losing data, the remaining probes began to adapt. They shifted molecular structures, creating protective fields that could withstand the consuming threat. "Incredible," Chen breathed. "The probes are learning. They're developing counter-strategies in real time." Most scientific teams would have retreated. This team saw an opportunity to understand something revolutionary. "Prepare primary intervention team," Rodriguez commanded. Our adaptive combat suit began to fully synchronize molecular structures, shifting to provide maximum protection and adaptability. The suit was more than protective gear. It was a complex research instrument, capable of gathering data with every molecular interaction. Where traditional protection systems created barriers, this suit would understand the threat at its most fundamental level. Araya's holographic representation shifted, showing multiple potential intervention scenarios. Recommendation: targeted quantum disruption combined with molecular reconstruction protocols. The first human team prepared to enter the station. They weren't just a rescue team. They were scientific pioneers about to encounter something that had defeated multiple advanced civilizations. "We're going to save what we can," Rodriguez told her team, and learn everything possible about this threat. The quantum horizon's hull continued to shift, adapting to the complex molecular environment. Space itself seemed to hold its breath as humanity prepared to face the unknown. This was more than a rescue mission. This was a moment that would redefine humanity's understanding of matter, intelligence, and survival. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what true adaptation really meant. The interior of the Meridian Prime Research Station defied conventional understanding of space and matter. Walls flowed like liquid, scientific equipment twisted into impossible geometries, and the very air seemed to pulse with an alien intelligence. Dr. Marcus Chen moved carefully, his adaptive suit constantly recalibrating to the shifting environment. The molecular restructuring is more complex than our initial models suggested, he reported to Commander Rodriguez. It's not just consuming matter, it's actively rebuilding it according to some form of adaptive algorithm. Lieutenant Aisha Okonkwo monitored the team's external sensors, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Quantum resonance patterns are increasing, she called out. The threat is becoming more aggressive in its molecular reconstruction. Rodriguez understood they were facing something beyond a simple rescue mission. This was a fundamental challenge to everything humanity understood about matter, intelligence, and survival. She addressed the ship's artificial intelligence, analyzed the reconstruction patterns. Find me a weakness. The A's holographic representation shifted, complex mathematical models spinning around the bridge like a living constellation of data. Most systems would have taken hours to process such complex information. Aurora did it in milliseconds. Detecting periodic instability in molecular restructuring process, the AA reported. Approximately every 3.7 seconds, the reconstruction algorithm experiences a momentary computational pause. Chen's eyes lit up with scientific excitement. That's not a weakness, he said. That's a communication pattern. This isn't just a threat. It's a form of intelligence we've never encountered before. The team's adaptive drones continued to gather data, each molecular interaction providing new insights. Where other civilizations would have seen a threat to be destroyed, humans saw a complex puzzle to be understood. Rodriguez made a decision. We're going to communicate, she announced. Okonkwo, prepare a quantum resonance transmission. We're going to try to understand this thing. Most scientific teams would have considered the approach impossible. This team saw it as an opportunity for first contact. The quantum resonance transmission began, a carefully constructed series of molecular interactions designed to mirror the threat's own communication patterns. It was part scientific experiment, part diplomatic overture. For several tense moments, nothing happened. Then the station's molecular structure began to change. It's responding, Chen breathed. The walls around them shifted, scientific equipment reassembling into complex patterns that suggested something approaching communication. Okonkwo's sensors went wild. We're receiving a response, she reported. But it's not like any communication protocol we've ever seen. It's more like a complex mathematical conversation happening at the molecular level. ARIA began to translate, its computational power working overtime. The entity appears to be a collective intelligence, the A reported. It doesn't consume, it integrates. The research station wasn't being destroyed. It was being transformed into something new. Rodriguez understood the magnitude of their discovery. This wasn't a threat to be eliminated. It was a form of intelligence waiting to be understood. Can we establish a more direct communication? She asked. Chen was already working on a solution. We'll need to modify our quantum resonance field, he explained. Create a translation matrix that can interpret molecular-level communication. The team worked with a synchronicity that defied traditional scientific protocols. A junior researcher might propose a solution that fundamentally altered their approach. Expertise was valued over rank, innovation over established understanding. As they worked, the station around them continued to shift. Walls became transparent, then solid, then something in between. Scientific equipment reassembled itself in complex patterns that suggested an attempt at communication. "We're close to a breakthrough," Chen said, his voice a mixture of scientific excitement and profound respect for the intelligence they were encountering. Rodriguez watched the molecular interactions with a sense of calculated wonder. They were doing more than trying to save a research station. They were expanding the boundaries of human understanding. The quantum resonance transmission continued, a delicate dance of molecular communication. Humanity was reaching out to an intelligence so fundamentally different that traditional communication seemed primitive by comparison. In the vast darkness of space, a conversation was happening, one molecule at a time. Humanity was about to show the galaxy that true intelligence knows no boundaries. The Meridian Prime research station began to stabilize, its molecular structure gradually returning to a more recognizable form. What had once seemed like a catastrophic threat now appeared to be the early stages of an extraordinary transformation. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of the restored primary research hub, her adaptive suit slowly returning to its standard configuration. Around her, the station's survivors, 12 researchers from 6 different species, began to emerge from protective molecular matrices that had preserved their existence. "Status report," she called out, her voice calm and authoritative. Dr. Marcus Chen approached, his scientific excitement barely contained. "It's remarkable," he said, gesturing to the complex molecular reconstructions around them. "The entity we encountered isn't a destroyer. It's a form of collective intelligence that seeks to understand and integrate." Lieutenant Aisha Okonkwo was already interfacing with the station's restored communication systems. "Zoran Collective is requesting a full report," she announced. "They're having difficulty processing our initial transmission." Rodriguez understood the magnitude of their discovery. This was more than a rescue mission. They had just made first contact with an entirely new form of intelligent life. The survivors began to gather. A Centauri biochemist worked alongside a Rigelian quantum physicist, their previous species-based tensions forgotten in the wake of their shared experience. Humanity's intervention had done more than save their lives. It had created an unprecedented opportunity for interspecies cooperation. "We need to document everything," Chen said, already setting up comprehensive research protocols. "Every molecular interaction, every moment of communication. This is a breakthrough that could redefine our understanding of intelligence." RIA, the ship's artificial intelligence, began compiling a comprehensive report. Where most AAs would have produced a clinical summary, ARIA created a dynamic, multi-layered document that captured the nuanced complexity of their encounter. Rodriguez approached the Zoran representative, a crystalline being named Krell 7, who had been part of the original research team. "We're prepared to share our full findings," she said, "with the condition that this becomes a collaborative research effort." Most diplomatic interactions would have involved complex negotiations. This conversation happened with a directness that surprised the alien representatives. The station's restoration continued. Adaptive nano-reconstruction modules worked tirelessly, rebuilding damaged infrastructure while preserving the unique molecular memories of the encounter. Scientific equipment that had been seemingly destroyed now hummed with new potential, transformed by the encounter. "The entity we encountered," Chen explained to the gathered researchers, appears to be a form of collective intelligence that communicates and grows through molecular restructuring. It doesn't destroy, it integrates, learns, and evolves. Okonkwo brought up holographic displays showing the complex molecular interactions. Our quantum resonance communication breakthrough allows us to interact with it in ways no other civilization has managed, she reported. The Zoran representatives exchanged complex light patterns, their version of intense discussion. Most human teams would have been confused. Rodriguez and her team had spent years studying interspecies communication and understood the nuanced exchange. We propose a joint research initiative, Rodriguez stated. Full transparency, shared resources, collaborative exploration of this new form of intelligence. It was an unprecedented offer. Where other civilizations would have claimed exclusive rights to the discovery, humans offered collaboration. Krell 7's crystalline form shifted, indicating agreement. The light patterns suggested something close to excitement, an unusual emotion for the typically reserved Zoran collective. The restored research station became more than a scientific facility. It was now a symbol of what could be achieved through cooperation, curiosity, and a willingness to look beyond established understanding. Chen was already developing new research protocols. We're not just studying a new form of intelligence, he told his team. We're opening a dialogue with a completely new type of conscious existence. As the restoration continued, the station began to pulse with potential. Scientific equipment that had been destroyed now represented new possibilities. The molecular restructuring had not been a threat. It had been an invitation to understand something profound. Rodriguez looked out at the transformed research station, at the diverse team of researchers working together, at the incredible discovery they had just made. This was more than a mission of rescue. This was humanity's true strength, the ability to turn the unknown into an opportunity for growth, understanding, and collaboration. The galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as Commander Elena Rodriguez completed her report. Representatives from 12 different species listened with a mixture of disbelief and grudging respect. We didn't just rescue a research station, Rodriguez explained, her presentation illuminating the complex molecular interactions they had discovered. We established first contact with an entirely new form of collective intelligence. The Centauri representative, a being of intricate crystalline structure, projected a series of diplomatic queries. Most species would have found the communication incomprehensible. Rodriguez's team had spent years developing multilayered communication protocols that could bridge seemingly impossible gaps. Dr. Marcus Chen stepped forward, his scientific passion evident. The entity we encountered doesn't think like a traditional intelligence, he explained. It communicates through molecular restructuring, learns through integration, and exists in a state of constant adaptive evolution. Lieutenant Aisha Okonkwo brought up comprehensive data visualizations. Each holographic display showed layers of complexity that challenged everything the Galactic Council understood about intelligence and communication. The Zoran representative, Krell 7, spoke first. Your intervention was unexpected, the crystalline being projected. The translation matrix interpreted a complex emotional state somewhere between grudging admiration and profound curiosity. News of the mission spread across multiple communication networks. Where other civilizations saw obstacles, humans saw opportunities. The Meridian Prime Research Station had become more than a rescued facility. It was now a symbol of human potential. RIO, the Quantum Horizons Artificial Intelligence, began compiling a comprehensive database of the encounter. Most A's would have produced a clinical report. ARIA created a dynamic, multi-layered document that captured the nuanced complexity of their discovery. The mission demonstrates a fundamental approach to problem solving. Rodriguez told the Council, "We didn't just respond to a threat. We sought to understand it." Behind the official presentations, a more profound transformation was occurring. The 12 researchers rescued from the station represented 6 different species. They had been transformed by their shared experience, their previous species-based tensions forgotten in the face of a truly extraordinary discovery. The Galactic Council's historical archives would record this moment as a turning point. Humanity had not just participated in interstellar exploration, they had redefined what exploration meant. Ken continued to analyze the molecular communication patterns. "We're developing translation matrices that could revolutionize how we understand intelligence," he explained. "This isn't just a scientific breakthrough. It's a fundamental expansion of our understanding of consciousness." Okonkwo's team was already developing adaptive communication technologies based on their discoveries. Quantum resonance transmission protocols that could bridge seemingly impossible communication gaps were being refined. The Quantum Horizon sat in orbital dock, its adaptive hull telling a story of innovation. This was not just a spacecraft. It was a testament to human potential, a living example of technology that could adapt, learn, and transform. "We're recommending a joint research initiative," Rodriguez told the Council. "Full transparency, shared resources, collaborative exploration of this new form of intelligence." Most diplomatic proposals would have involved complex negotiations. This offer came with a directness that surprised the alien representatives. The rescued researchers from different species worked together, developing joint research proposals. Their previous competitive approaches had been replaced by a collaborative spirit that spoke to the deeper impact of the mission. News networks across multiple star systems began reporting the story. Where previous human missions had been seen as unpredictable or aggressive, this intervention demonstrated a profound commitment to understanding and cooperation. "Humanity has changed the conversation," one Rigelian commentator projected. "They don't just explore, they seek to understand." The Meridian Prime Research Station became a symbol of what could be achieved through curiosity, cooperation, and a willingness to look beyond established understanding. Rodriguez looked out at the assembled representatives. She understood that this moment was about more than a single mission. It was about demonstrating humanity's true potential. "We're not just exploring space," she said quietly. "We're expanding the boundaries of understanding." The Galactic Council sat in silence, processing the implications of what they had just heard. Humanity had done more than rescue a research station. They had opened a door to a new way of understanding intelligence, communication, and collaboration. The galaxy would never be the same.